The first time I went to Pride, I didn't expect to cry. But there I was, standing in the middle of a street painted with rainbows, music blasting from every corner, people dancing and laughing, and I felt tears streaming down my face. Not sad tears, not even happy ones, just overwhelming. Because for the first time in my life, I felt what freedom actually sounds like. It wasn't quiet. It was a heartbeat disguised as music. The drums, the chants, the laughter, all blending into this rhythm that said, "You belong here." And that was something I'd never really believed before that day. Before that day, Pride felt like something for other people, the bold ones, the loud ones, the people who already knew who they were and weren't afraid to show it. I wasn't one of them, at least I didn't think so. At that point, my coming out journey was still tangled in fear. A few friends knew, but I hadn't told my family. I hadn't even told myself the full truth. Not really. I said I was still figuring it out, but deep down, I knew. I just wasn't ready to live it out loud. So I watched Pride from afar. Every June I'd scroll through photos and videos, flags waving, crowds cheering, and think, one day. But that one day never came, because every time it got close, fear whispered louder. What if someone sees you? What if you don't fit in? What if you don't belong? And that word, belong, it haunted me, because I wanted to belong so badly. But I'd spent years building my life around not being seen. Then one night my best friend Maya texted me, "Pride this weekend. You're coming with me, no excuses." I laughed it off, said something like, "I'll think about it." But she sent another message. "You don't have to be ready, you just have to show up." And for some reason, that stuck with me. So I said yes. The morning of the parade I was shaking, not from excitement, from nerves. I stood in front of my mirror, staring at my reflection, trying to decide what to wear. Every option felt like a statement I wasn't sure I was ready to make. Jeans and a plain t-shirt felt too safe. A rainbow pin felt too bold. I ended up wearing both, my version of compromise. When I met Maya, she looked radiant. Rainbow face paint, pride flag draped like a cape. She was glowing. "Ready?" she asked. I laughed weakly. "Define ready," she grinned. "Perfect. Let's go." The closer we got to the parade, the louder it got. The bass of the music vibrating through the pavement, people shouting, laughing, singing, and I could feel my chest tightening with every step. When we finally turned the corner and saw the crowd, I froze. The street was a blur of color. Rainbow flags, confetti, people in every kind of outfit imaginable. There were couples holding hands, families cheering, even little kids waving tiny flags. And in that moment, I didn't know what to do with all of it. It was beautiful, and it was terrifying, because I had spent so much of my life trying not to be this, not to stand out, not to draw attention, not to be too visible. And suddenly, I was surrounded by thousands of people who were doing the exact opposite. Loudly, unapologetically, beautifully. I tried to smile, to blend in, to pretend I wasn't completely overwhelmed. But inside, I was drowning in a mix of envy and fear. I wanted to be like them. I wanted to be that brave. But I couldn't stop thinking, I don't belong here. Not yet. Maya must have seen the panic in my eyes, because she leaned in and said, "Hey, you don't have to do anything, just exist. That's enough." I nodded, pretending to believe her, but I didn't. Until something, or rather someone, changed everything. It happened when we stopped to watch one of the floats go by. This massive truck covered in glitter and flags, blasting music so loud you could feel it in your ribs. On the float was a group of older queer folks. Gray hair, wrinkles, rainbow t-shirts. Their banner read, "We've been here. We're still here." Everyone around us cheered, and I just stared. There was one woman, maybe in her 60s, smiling so wide, waving a flag high above her head. Her joy was magnetic. She caught me looking, and for some reason, she climbed down off the float, walked straight over to where I was standing, and handed me her flag. "First Pride?" she asked, her voice gentle but knowing. I froze. "Yeah, how'd you know?" She laughed. "I see that look every year. I want to be here, but I'm not sure I'm allowed look." I didn't know what to say. She reached out and placed the flag in my hand. "Well, you're allowed," she said. "You always were." Then she looked right at me and said, "Welcome home." Those two words broke something open inside me. Welcome home. I didn't even realize I was crying until she hugged me. And then, in the middle of the noise and the color and the chaos, something shifted. It was like every wall I'd built to protect myself finally cracked. All the fear, all the hiding, all the pretending, it all came undone. Because in that moment, I finally understood what pride really was. It wasn't about being loud or perfect. It was about being free. It was about knowing that even if the world didn't understand you, there was a place, right here, right now, where you did not have to explain yourself. For the first time, I didn't just watch Pride. I was part of it. I looked around, the music, the laughter, the sea of color, and realized something simple but life-changing. I wasn't alone. I had never been alone. Before that day, I thought Pride was just a party. But it's not. It's a promise. A promise to yourself that you deserve to exist exactly as you are. No matter who you love, how you look, or where you are in your journey. Before, I lived in a world of almosts. Almost honest. Almost free. Almost me. After that day, I stopped saying almost. It didn't happen overnight. I didn't wake up the next morning suddenly fearless, but something deep inside me changed. It was small at first, like a flicker of light where there had only been shadow. I started talking more openly with friends. I stopped whispering the word lesbian like it was something to be ashamed of, and I started to see myself, really see myself, in the reflection of every other queer person who dared to live out loud. Pride gave me that. It gave me permission to take up space, even quietly. And maybe that's the most beautiful thing about it, because pride isn't just for the ones in glitter and feathers and bold makeup, though they are incredible. It's also for the ones standing quietly on the sidelines, clutching their first rainbow pin, whispering, "Maybe I belong here." You do. We all do. If you're listening to this right now, wondering whether pride is for you, it is. Even if you're scared, even if you're not out yet, even if you think you're not queer enough to belong, you belong. Because pride isn't about perfection. It's about truth. It's about showing up for yourself. Trembling, uncertain, but still showing up. Your coming out journey doesn't have to look like anyone else's. It doesn't have to be loud or public. It can be quiet, personal, even messy. And that's okay. What matters is that you give yourself the gift of honesty. Even if it's just to whisper your truth to the mirror for the first time. That's pride too. Because every time we live our truth, every time we say, "This is me, and I deserve to exist," we honor everyone who came before us. Every one of our lesbian stories, our queer stories, becomes another thread in something much bigger. A tapestry of courage that's still growing, still shining, still fighting to make the world softer for the next person who comes after us. So if you've ever wondered what pride feels like, let me tell you. It feels like music in your chest. It feels like sunlight on your face. It feels like coming home to a version of yourself you've been waiting to meet. And once you feel that, even just for a second, it never leaves you. If this story spoke to you, I'd love to hear yours. Tell me in the comments, what was your first pride like? Or what do you hope your first pride will be? Because every story you share Every small piece of truth might be the sign someone else needs to finally take that first step. And if you want to keep hearing stories like this, about love, courage, and the quiet strength of being yourself, subscribe. This isn't just my story, it's ours. It's the story of learning that freedom doesn't mean changing who you are. It means finally letting yourself be seen. The day I went to my first Pride parade, I thought I was just there to watch. But I wasn't watching history. I was becoming part of it. And in that moment, surrounded by strangers who felt like family, I realized something I'll never forget. Freedom doesn't wait for permission. It begins the moment you stop hiding. And the moment you finally let yourself shine, that's when you find it.